Welcome back to Inside the Lines. Happy Wednesday. We have plenty of things on the board for you today, as usual. We'll start with the little MLB playoffs, get into some college football, lots of injuries to go over, and that big NFL unders trend, is it worth hitting this weekend again? So before all of that, we'll start with John. We got some MLB today, not a ton, but enough for a great solid pick. Tell us about your play today.
Yeah, we saved the best for first, Mackenzie. So we're going with MLB tonight. Astros on the money line, plus 110, I believe. Yeah, against the Rangers. That's my favorite play. I mean, it's Christian Javier against Max Scherzer. Christian Javier has literally allowed 2 hits in his last 16.1 playoff innings pitched. That's honestly absurd. He hasn't allowed a run in that time. Max Scherzer, on the other hand, he's coming off an injury. He hasn't pitched since September 12th. So we have no idea how effective he'll be, even how long he'll get in this game. I've heard some pitch totals around 70 pitches, 75 pitches been thrown around, but we really have no idea how effective he'll be. Astros bullpen, very good. Rangers, on the other hand, they've been benefiting from their starters going 7 innings, 6 innings, so they haven't had to use their bullpen much. But I don't think Scherzer's going to get very deep in this game, so their bullpen's really going to be tested for the first time all postseason today, and I think the Astros win that battle. So I like the Astros at plus money here.
Like that play a lot, and I know you have a few player props for us as well if you want to touch through those quickly. Another great graphic to take a screenshot of as well.
Yeah, so I've got my favorite player props here today. First one, Christian Javier over 12.5 outs. He goes 5 innings every start, essentially. He's not going to go more than 5 innings, but he rarely goes less than 5 innings. And as he mentioned, he's only allowed 2 hits in his last 16.1 innings pitched in the playoffs. So I think he'll go at least 5 again today. Under 2.5 runs for Christian Javier. He's allowed 2 hits once again, but I think even if he does allow hits today, it'll be of a bloop and a bomb variety, which just gets 2 earned runs. I don't think he'll go more than there. And if he's struggling, I think he'll go, 4 1/3, 4, but only give up 2. So I like that. Scherzer over 1.5 earned runs. I mean, I just think he's going to get hit hard today. He's coming off an injury, and the Astros actually see him very well. Yordan Alvarez, his bat path, matches Max Scherzer's pitches perfectly. He loves that running fastball, as we saw when he hit the home run off Nathan Eovaldi, who has a similar fastball, and he's able to stay around that slider, and Max keeps it in the zone. Evan Carter, or a walk. I mean, he gets a 3-2 count pretty much every time he's at bat. I've heard he's moving up to the 3-hole today in the lineup as well, so he'll get more at bats. And he hasn't seen Javier this season or in his career, so he's likely going to take a few pitches to see his stuff first.
Yeah, and Steven in the chat is mentioning some other prices you can get these props out. So take a look. If you're looking at these, look in the chat for Steven to see if you can get some better value out there. We'll talk about prize picks now. We'll bring in Jake, you guys in your little prize picks special. Some of the same plays, but for our prize picks fans out there, this is for you.
Yeah, Jake, you want to talk about Garver? You're muted. All right, I'll talk about him. Mitch Garver. I mean, he's hit this number 3 times this postseason. He's gotten a hit, but he doesn't get 2 hits. Also, Christian Javier's splits are absurd against righties. He only allows a 190 batting average against righties. Mitch Garver struggles a lot more against righties, and the Astros' whole bullpen is righties. So Garver could get pinch hit for late in the game as well. Alvarez, I explained, I think he's going to absolutely dominate Scherzer. Scherzer keeps it in the zone. He has a good bat path for him. Scherzer over 1.5 earned runs, we explained. Adolis Garcia, same idea here. Javier only lets hitters bat 190 against him, righties. Garcia's a lot worse against righties, and he's 2 for 17 in his career against Javier. So I think even if he gets a hit, it won't be for extra bases. Kyle Tucker, he has 2 hits the entire playoffs. That's it. He's being demoted in the lineup. He's really struggling. So we're going to go with that under as well. And then Marcus Semien. So he got 2 hits in his last game, but he hasn't been hitting for power this postseason much at all. And he doesn't see Javier well, but he has 5 walks off Javier. So that could take off one of his at-bats as well, but I don't think he's going to get an extra base hit here.
Right. Sorry to cut you off there, Jake, but I had to bring Steven in to help you out.
Yeah, Steven and I are a team. We're sharing a mic. We're a team right now.
Like Rolling Stones.
Yeah. Put better, actually.
Springsteen.
Yeah.
Got anything
Jake? I agree with everything you said. Like, Yordan has 1,700 OPS against Scherzer, and it's kind of a correlated play with Scherzer over 1.5 runs. The biggest concern is we don't think he's going to last long because his pitch count's going to be low. But if he doesn't last long, it's a big reason why. It's probably he gave up 2-3 runs early in the game. I like the Garver play big time. He is 1 for 5 in his career. That one hit is a home run, but Christian Javier has been pretty good in the playoffs. He allows quite a bit of walks, but he hasn't been giving up a lot of contact. So I really like that play as well.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff there. We're going to move into some college football now with Jake. Now, before we go into our injuries, there are a few picks that we like for earlier in the week. We're going to go with our A pick here. 1 second. A pick here at Sam Houston State, FIU. We like the under, and the line's actually moving the opposite direction than we thought, which is good for our play.
Yeah, we usually see the line move in towards our number. We have 33 points in this game, so we're surprised it's moved from 40 to 42.5. So we're getting even more value, and we like this. We had this discussion earlier today, and it's about offense versus defense. Usually you want to look at the team's offensive production, which is more indicative of the total compared to their defense. Earlier in the season, we put on FIU Liberty over because of the offensive production compared to the defense, and it was the defense that the bad defenses won out, or it was the
we bet the under, but so we this logic didn't work early in the year, but we're thinking, knock on wood, that also had to do with at this point in the year we're pretty far into the season, so we have a little more confidence in the data, and we kind of like to throw out the best, the high and the low for each team, and when you do that, you're looking at teams that combine for around 24 points a game. So we do think that we do like them to score more against each other's respective defenses, just not hopefully 44 points.
Yeah, so if you take out the outliers here, both the teams should combine for like 22 points scored. Yeah. So we really like that. I mean, if I use one outlier, it was North Texas, where they scored 42 points, but North Texas defense is one of the worst in all of college football. So I really like this underplay. I'm surprised with the line movement here. I'd grab it at 42.5. Yeah,
because it's not driven by the public bet either, right? So it's something.
Yeah, but the public's pretty much 50-50 on the over and under. So it's odd to see it move 2.5 points here.
And we have to shout out Jake for yesterday with South Alabama absolutely annihilating Southern Mississippi. Actually, really, if you think about it, really 3 for 3, because the other 2 games we just didn't have value on. Those numbers ended up pretty similar to where we thought they would. Let's move into some games for this weekend. Now, a lot of quarterback injuries going on. A lot to look at here, but you're looking at opening and current lines for either over-unders or spreads that have been affected by these quarterback injuries, whether they're playing, probable, whatever the deal is. And then a few act nows of if you like these certain plays, this is the time to get them before this number starts to change based off more information coming out before the weekend. So we'll start with Temple playing SMU. Their quarterback has like a multitude of injuries going on right now. He's kind of a mess, right?
Yeah, so it's Kurt Warner's son, EJ Warner, is their quarterback, and it looked like he was going to be playing last week. And then right before kickoff, he was announced as out, and then now he suddenly showed up in concussion protocol. So I put him on the highly questionable side. And their backup quarterback, he has a 41% completion percentage. He is more of a runner, and Temple doesn't run the ball well. I think they average 2.5 yards per carry at home. SMU's run defense has been their strength this season. They've played some good teams, and they've held them to 3.5 yards per carry. So if you like SMU, which I do, we have them at 21 in our model, which will probably go up even more. I would grab them at 20.5 before it goes to that key number of 21. I really like that.
Yeah. And then you move over to Northwestern. Their quarterback's questionable. The line's gone down, probably with the idea of this just being a slower game with the QB2.
Yeah, so their backup quarterback, Brendan Sullivan, he averages just 6 yards an attempt compared to their starter, Ben Bryant, averaging 7.4 yards per attempt. So you don't really see a lot of movement in the spread here, more in the over-under, because he checks the ball down, he's accurate, and if he checks the ball down, he's accurate, the clock's just going to keep on rolling. So I think that's why you see this line movement. I think Ben Bryant's more on the questionable side. He still hasn't been cleared to play. If Brendan Sullivan is playing, the line makes it seem like it's going to be Brendan Sullivan with the total going down, I think that you get some value in the under.
Yeah, I like that too. Now we go to Air Force Navy. Historically, these service academy games are hitting unders 28-3-1 to the under. So that's probably the reason why we're seeing this go down. It'll probably continue to tick down just based on that trend, don't you think?
Yeah, if you listen to Cover 3, which you should, Tom Fornelli loves his service academy unders. And I know the stats like 40, 11, and 3 over the last 10 years or something like that, but it's 28-3-1 since 2018. And both of these teams are dealing with quarterback problems. I think the biggest quarterback injury here is Air Force's quarterback's out, Zach Larrier. And Air Force, for a service academy, they throw the ball pretty well. And with him out, they're probably going to run the ball more. And these service academy unders always hit. And Navy's quarterback is probable, but if he's banged up, it's going to be tougher to run the triple option. So I would shop around and get the highest total you could get. But it's, like Steven just said, it's still barely clinging to 36. If you could get a 36, I'd grab that if you like this trend on the under.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a quick break and answer some questions before we hit the next 3 games. Big Cheesy asking about New Mexico State minus the 3, if we have any value there.
We like UTEP.
We always like UTEP, and UTEP's one of the most.
UTEP in the model. We don't like UTEP as an entity because of what they've done to us.
Yeah, UTEP has burned us.
UTEP has burned us. They're dead to us. But when we like them, they lose. When we don't like them, they win. Yeah. So that scares me. I think New Mexico State, I definitely lean New Mexico State because I like Diego Pavia. And UTEP's down to their third-string quarterback who looked really good last week. But New Mexico State's one of the better group of 5 teams, I guess, this season, even though they're not great.
And while I have
value, we're not going to have some strong recommendation on a player with getting a second start. And again, it's hard to back teams that are dead to you. Yes,
this is true. So take your own risk as you will. While I have the model up from you, Steven, another question quick. 2 questions. Memphis team total over 34.5, and then Utah over 2.5 touchdowns at minus 160.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll get you our team total Thursdays, but let's look at this Memphis.
We got no value on the team total. What's the line that the question had?
34.5.
Yeah, we have 34.4.
So I would lean watching UAB's defense this season. I would definitely lean over, and if you get a 34.5, if it's anything under 35, I definitely lean over.
Yeah, for what it's worth, the bad UAB defense has been better at home.
Yeah, but look, they've given up 35 plus in all those games that I just saw. So I definitely lean over. I mean, Memphis, they can still move the ball. They move the ball in Tulane.
What was the other team?
And Utah over 2.5 touchdowns.
Probably.
Yeah, it's so hard to gauge the value on Utah because they've had 3 different quarterbacks. It looks like I just put Bryson Barnes as the starter for the rest of the season. It's looking like
it's right on the. We got. Let me do the quick math. We probably have projected for 2.7 touchdowns, 2.8 touchdowns. So what's the juice on it? It's
minus 160.
Then we wouldn't have any value at minus 160.
I'd probably stay off of that. You don't know how USC is going to respond, especially on defense after getting beat pretty big by Notre Dame.
USC just needs to be explained that you're allowed to tackle.
Yeah. All right. So 2, not crazy value from the model in either of these games, but of course we'll bring some more team totals to you tomorrow. Let's get back to the other 3 games with quarterbacks in question. Wisconsin's quarterback is out. Now the spread has actually moved towards Illinois.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's moved from -4 to -2.5 when Mordecai was announced that he had a broken arm, and it stayed pretty consistently at -2.5. And what's interesting, we like Wisconsin's backup a decent amount. He's not the runner that Mordecai is, but I think he has a bigger arm than Mordecai. So this game's going to be interesting. I think if you like Wisconsin, you think their backup's pretty good, I would grab it at -2.5 here. Exactly, yeah.
And then Texas Tech, game time decision for their quarterback. The total has actually gone up. This hasn't really impacted the spread much at all. But I guess this is under the narrative that it's just a system quarterback, regardless of who it is for Texas Tech.
Yeah, it's these air raid quarterbacks. They'll find someone. I mean, Baker Mayfield was a walk-on true freshman who started at Texas Tech when he first came up. And so the big thing is BYU, gave up over 400 passing yards against TCU's backup quarterback last week. And you see another air raid system quarterback in this game, and you say, oh, whoever they put in is going to throw for 350 yards here. So that's why the lines moved from 51 to 52, and we have plenty of value here.
52 and a half and 53 now. So
and then, and then we look at Duke. Riley Leonard's just it's been really all up in the air. You've seen this line move all over. So regardless of what you like, whether it's FSU or Duke, this is a shop around moment because this line has kind of gone all over, leaning towards the narrative that Riley Leonard could be playing.
No one knows anything. If the line move indicated that Leonard could be out earlier because it was moving towards FSU, then it moved towards Duke, and maybe he's playing. I would just ask your friends if they go to Duke if they've seen Riley Leonard limping around class, and that's how I'd gauge this game. But if you like, this is a game where I'll just shop around. If you like FSU, get them before it goes to 2 touchdowns, because if Leonard goes out, it's spread. We're just talking about it could go to -17 in terms of FSU, but if Leonard does play, it probably won't move to under FSU -12.
We're
assuming he's going to play hurt, and his mobility is his biggest asset here. And talking to Big Cheesy and Nick here, I mean, James Madison's been really good to us this season, so I don't mind any James Madison play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of questions in the chat. Jake, I'm going to let you handle those, but Steven and I are going to move into the NFL. Now, the NFL, everyone's been seeing the trends of the unders, obviously, especially in last week, which is causing the public to love them again. If you look in that right-hand column, I mean, over 50%, almost over 80% on every single one of these games, the public's on the under, which is a little terrifying. But Steven, you kind of cracked the code as to why these teams have been going under.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an overall trend. I mean, since when Patrick Mahomes and then I would say Lamar Jackson, the Ravens burst on the scene 2019, a lot of people started, executing not only their schemes, but also if you had a mobile quarterback, you started running certain types of zone read offenses. And so in 2020, there are only 4 teams that average less than 20 points per game. The prior year, there were 10. And the average point per game among the league was 24.8, and unders only hit 48.5% of the time. Since 2020, the number of teams averaging fewer than 20 points has gone up from 4 to 10 to 11 to 13 as defensive coordinators have figured out a few things in terms of, how to play your safeties high and take away the big play. And maybe some of the quarterbacks that were thriving, got big contracts, so they couldn't afford the skill players that it allowed them to put up, 32, 33 consistently. So right now we're in this high point of low scoring teams. Nearly half the league are under 20 points per game, and the unders at this. So the under has gone up from 48.5% to 54% to 56% to now at nearly 61%.
Wow. So
when you look at it for these teams specifically, there has been an adjustment. So the over under for this week is 1.5 points less than was closed at last week, and that's. Usually you don't see that kind of drop off until later in the year when weather is more of an issue. So it's because the public is just pounding the under. So you look at the cause of these high under teams. It's for most cases, it's really disappointing quarterback play. So Derek Carr seemingly can't convert a 3rd and long to save his life. Jimmy G doesn't have a connection with Devontae Adams, even though Adams been slowed down by injury. Kirk Cousins has had some problems in the red zone. Mac Jones is Mac Jones, who Daniel Jones and the Giants, have I still think that they have 3 points at home. Baltimore is the one team here that I think will correct their problems. For the last 3 weeks, they've been coming out averaging 250 yards and 16 points in the first half. So when they come in and the opposing team is unfamiliar with a new offense and Monken's offense and Lamar's ability to run that offense, Baltimore's very prolific. Second half adjustments comes in, Baltimore shuts down. So every week, I think Baltimore will get better at responding to the adjustments. And so I think they'll drop off this list. Atlanta, they've been really an effective run game, yards per carry, despite Bijan Robinson, which has been surprising. And then Desmond Ridder throwing picks. And then Tannehill has been bad for Tennessee. He's probably out for a while. It's probably going to be Will Levis. So I would expect that under to keep going. So the thing that I would warn people is years ago when I met people who were actually responsible for starting opening lines. I was surprised how many of them were just actual gamblers who wanted to win bets. They really loved getting 70% of the action on one side and seeing that side lose. I thought they were just responsible businessmen, looking to split the action and get benefit off the 10% VIG, which is what I would do as a relatively conservative person. So I think that to see the public percentages this high, the lines drop. And if these percentages still say 75, 80%, then I'd be a little nervous that the books aren't dropping their lines more to balance it out, because they don't think this trend's going to necessarily last. Now, I will say, last week was 12-2-1, I think the unders. If there's another week with such low numbers, if the average total ends up being around 42, and we still see the same under trend, then you might see a real market correction in light of the overall season-to-season increase in unders. But I think this is a very critical week for that.
The model agrees with most of these unders, but the cause of it mostly being these just below average quarterbacks that are mostly causing these unders. I think I might take all the overs this week, just blindly, because this is terrifying to look at. Look at the public. I mean, like, that is really, really scary to see every single person on the under. So I don't know. Maybe I'll feel crazy.
The lines on average in these games, and I have them in front of me. They've been dropping around 2.5 points, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it seems like the Vegas, Chicago is down 9 points to 37.5 because of the injuries of the quarterback. Jacksonville, New Orleans is down 3 points. San Francisco, Minnesota is down 2 points to 43.5. But that has a lot to do with McCaffrey and other injuries at San Francisco. Buffalo, New England's down 2 points. Washington Giants is down 2.5 points. Detroit, Baltimore is down 2.5 points. Atlanta, Tampa Bay is down 3 points. So I think that, at this point, that value on hammering the under is gone, and it might be opportunities to play the over.
Yeah, big time. I like that. Look, a lot of information today, from MLB to college football to NFL. This might be an episode you need to watch back to get all of that information. Of course, we will be back tomorrow talking more of the same things. Again, we'll go over some of that college stuff, some team total Thursdays from Jake. Maybe we'll have some more value on these spreads. But until then, good luck with your bets tonight. Good luck with MLB playoffs, and we'll see you tomorrow.